Hey, y'all, I've got a question for you today. Are you a disciple of the internet or are you a disciple of Jesus? Now, I wish I could say I had came up with that on my own, but I've been reading John Eldridge's new book. It's called Experience Jesus. Really? And he brings up some things in this book that are uh, they're things I felt, but I didn't have vocabulary for. Um, and you know, are you a disciple of the internet or are you a disciple of Jesus? And that is a fundamental question. See, it's not just about where you spend your time, although that is a very valid point, right? Are you spending more time on the internet? Are you spending more time on social media? Or are you spending more time with Jesus? Now that's a very valid question that we could throw out, and I'm not going to throw any statistics out because they would be staggering in the wrong direction. The last statistics I've seen about how much time people spend on their phones, we'll just say, versus how much time they spend actually in the Bible or in prayer, that's a scary number. But here's the thing, it's so far beyond just the amount of time because the internet has taught us that when we ask a question, we'll get 10,000 answers back in 3 milliseconds. You don't believe me? Go to Google, type in your question, watch how long it takes the answer to come back, and see how many responses you get. Now, you don't always get 10,000, and it's not always 3 milliseconds, but it's super fast. You get the point. The point is valid, right? We have been taught so much by the internet that we get answers quick. So when we come to God and we have a question and God doesn't give us the answer just like that, we suddenly start thinking, well, gee, what did I do wrong? Is God mad at me? Have I sinned? Have I missed it somewhere? But you see, so much of being a Christian is about relationship. We'll get there. More on that in just a minute. So, the first thing the internet's taught us is that we get answers quick, right? Instantaneous. Boom. Um, but the second thing is it's taught us to be skeptics and cynics. Now, you might say, well, how has the internet taught me to be a skeptic? But you see, here's the thing. If you go and you put your question in and you search and you get an answer, tomorrow, if you run that same question, you may get an answer that is 100% contradictory to the answer you got yesterday. And it happens all the time. We're given so much data and so much perspective or opinion, uh, and it's contradictory. And what does that do? It erodes your confidence in that answer. It erodes your confidence in truth, right? And we even have people who absolutely spout things that are false and swear up and down it's the truth. And I'm not going to go there. But that is the world in which we live in, and the assault on the truth in our society is absolutely existential. And so what happens is we have no faith, right? It carries over into our relationship with God and into believing God. In fact, I'm just going to go out and say this and say that over the last 18 months, I've been embarrassed by how many times the Lord has come back to me and said, you're just simply not in faith. You just don't believe. And I'm like, I hate to admit it, but you're right, God. I'm not believing right now. And so many times and especially for those of us who are or Christians or have been raised in the church, or if you've been saved for any length of time and you've been taught, you know, we've been taught what to say. We know the faith-filled words to say. We know the right things to say, the right confessions to make. But that doesn't mean that's what's in our heart. And I'm guilty. I mean, I have absolutely done this, right? Hallelujah. It's the truth. So, we're used to getting answers quick. Our faith and our confidence in truth has been eroded. And these two things are such crucial parts of Christianity. I think we've missed it as a whole because we've made Christianity about a lot of different things. Um, just believe God. What does His Word say? Well, His Word's important, and I'm not speaking. Don't hear what I'm not saying. I'm not saying that the Word is not important, because His Word is very important, and it is a crucial pillar, a crucial foundation of what we believe. But the Word should point us to Jesus, because it's all about Jesus. It's always been all about Jesus. And I'll be honest with you, I think it's always going to be about Jesus. So, when we are not willing or patient to sit with God in His presence, I've been, I, I don't know, a month ago, maybe more, I started what I thought was going to be a series, and still will be a series, called Finding God, a journey to deeper relationship. And I just felt like the Lord said, you got way out ahead of yourself. And so I've kind of put the brakes on that a little bit. I know it's going to be completed at some point. It's not gone away. I think I've done 2 videos on it. I could probably do another 7 without even thinking hard. So, we'll see. But one of the big topics that I had for a whole video, for finding God, was to wait on the Lord. And so many times we are so busy. We've got so much going on in life that we won't stop and just sit with God. I don't mean stop and come read the Word. I don't mean stop and come pray. Nothing wrong with either of those things. They're great. But sometimes I just come in and I won't even put on worship music. I'll just put on like a pad, just to have something in the background, because music speaks to me. And it probably speaks to you too, at least on some level. But here's the thing: I'll just put that on in the background, and I don't want something that's a song that I know, because then I'll be singing, right? Or I'll be worshiping, and there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, there's a time and a place for that. But if I'm waiting on the Lord, that's not what I'm looking to do in that moment. In that moment, I'm looking to be with Him. I'm looking like Mary to come and just sit at His feet. I'm not asking for anything. I'm just coming to spend time with Him, period. And I'm going to tell you that that's been some of the times that the Lord has spoken to me the most. And maybe some of you would say, I hear you say this. I don't know that God really speaks to me like that. I promise you he wants to. I promise you he wants to. In fact, if you struggle with hearing the voice of God, the place to start is John 10. Go read the whole chapter of John 10. It talks about my sheep know my voice, and the voice of a stranger they will not follow. Now, here's where the rubber meets the road. You have to believe it. You have to believe it. It doesn't happen. It's not like standing underneath an apple tree and a ripe apple just falls on you, right? It doesn't just happen. You have to actively believe it. And you know what? You might have to actively believe it more than one time. More than one time. In fact, it's really the act of continuing to believe it over and over. My sheep hear my voice. Sometimes I just have to say that to myself. I hear your voice, Lord. I know right now my emotions and everything going on around me may tell me that I don't hear your voice. But your word says that I do. And your word is true. So I choose to believe what your word says and that I hear your voice. So if you're struggling, that's the place to start. Believe, right? I want to read Colossians 3:10. Colossians 3:10. This is out of the NLT. Put on your new nature and be renewed as you learn to know your Creator and become like Him. Do you realize that you become like whoever you spend time with? This is why it's so important for you to come and spend time with the Lord. I can't come and spend time with Him for you. You have to do it. You have to make the time. You have to put action to the words and say, God, I'm going to make time for you. I have started, so many times. In fact, I'm actually sitting right here. This is my secret place where I'm recording this video from. I come up here in the mornings, and I have really started. In fact, about where I'm sitting, I'll clear a spot every morning. I'll come up here, and I'll usually do a few things. I'll usually spend some time in the Word. I'll spend some time praying, but then I'm going to spend some time just sitting with the Lord, just making time for Him, just being with Him, not asking for anything, not looking for anything, just being with Him. And I'll literally clear this spot, and I'm like, Lord, I've got a spot for you here to come sit with me, come be with me. And that may sound crazy. And to be honest with you, I don't really care. I don't really care if you think it sounds crazy. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I just don't care. I only care about what He thinks. And again, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but that's just the place I'm at in life. I care what He thinks. And as long as I'm pleasing Him, I'm happy. But it is really relational. Christianity is relational. We were created to have relationship and fellowship with God, and we were created to have relationship and fellowship with one another. And somewhere along the way, we've kind of dropped the ball on that one. We've lost sight of those things, and we've made it about other things, and we've let religion come in, and we've allowed our hearts to stay hard, which is a different topic altogether. But when you come and you spend time with Him, you start to get His heart, and it'll change you. I promise you, it will change you if you will stay with Him and spend time with Him and commit to doing this on a consistent basis. And so today, I know it's easy for me to stop and say, Lord, forgive me because I have been a disciple of the internet. Not only have I spent a lot of time on the internet, doing, a lot of different things. I mean, my job involves being on the internet, right? That's not I can't quit the internet, right? And I'm not telling you to quit being on the internet, but maybe we need to be disciples of Jesus before we're disciples of the internet. Maybe we need to come back to the place where we have confidence in his word and confidence in what he says over what some report says or some expert says. We've become so inundated with experts that we've lost the truth. And so today I just want to encourage you, take those steps back, come sit with him. You become like whoever you spend time with. So come spend time with him. So many times we see Christians who have prayed the prayer. They've asked Jesus to be the Lord of their life, but there's not real change. And again, I've been guilty of that, right? Real change comes from saying, Lord, here I am. And this is what I want to encourage you and challenge you today. Get alone. Get away from everything. Get where it's quiet. For me, that's early in the morning when everybody else in the house is still in bed. I can come and I can get quiet and I can just say, Lord, I'm here. My heart is open. I turn my heart to you right now. And lately I've been saying, Lord, my heart is an open book with blank pages. Come and write on those pages whatever you want to write. I'm here. Change me, shape me, mold me into whatever it is you want me to be. And I promise you, if you will do this and take that step and be persistent, don't do it one time and think it's just going to happen. It's not magic. Be persistent in it. Stick with it. Stay with it. Be willing to sit. Your mind may race. You may think about 50 different things all at once. But you have to rein it in and say, no, this is my time to be with you. Lord, this is your time. I set that aside. We'll deal with that later. Right now, it's time for me and you. And I promise you it'll change you. I promise you it'll change you. If you do it, I guarantee change. I guarantee it. And it'll be changed for the better. So, friend, I just encourage you to take that step. Go that route. I want you to know that God loves you, that I love you. I appreciate you watching, and we'll talk again soon.